Welcome to Movie Recall. In today's video, we will be going through the 2022 movie Avatar 2. It's time to recall, let's get started. Turn on subtitles and spoilers ahead. The movie starts and we are taken to 16 years after the Na'vi repelled the RDA invasion of Pandora. Jake Sully lives as chief of the Omaticaya clan and raises a family with Neytiri, which includes sons Netiam and Loak, daughter Tuk, and adopted children Kiri, who was born from Grace Augustine's inert avatar, and Spider, the Pandora-born human son of the late Colonel Miles Quaritch. This guy was unable to go back with his own kind, so he now lives with the Na'vi. He thinks that he is from the Na'vi and can speak their language very well because he has grown up there. Na'vis have been having a great time since they repelled the invasion at the hands of RDA, but it comes to an end as RDA are back again, and this time they have come to Pandora to live there permanently. Yes, the RDA, led by their new leader Francis Ardmore, returns to colonize Pandora as Earth is dying. Among the new arrivals are the recombinants, Na'vi avatars implanted with the memories of deceased human soldiers. We also see that Miles' recombinant is serving as the leader despite the fact that he was almost killed in the previous invasion, but his mind was preserved, so we can still see him in the form of an avatar now. This is the year 2164 and the technology on Earth has advanced greatly. Colonel Miles' main motive is to exact revenge on Jake and his family. When they land there, it causes the deaths of many Pandora locals, which makes Jake and his clan both angry and upset at the RDA right away. Jake is the leader of this clan, so he was not just going to sit around while the RDA did everything. 1 year has gone by, it is now 2165, and Jake, along with his two sons, is trying to stop the supply chain of RDA. Jake goes on to lead a Na'vi army toward the RDA chain supplies. He manages to get in there and goes on to steal some ammunition and food supplies as well. Loak, his son, does not listen to what his father is ordering him to do, and that causes him to get wounded in this mission. Jake goes on to give a peace of mind to his son and tells him to be more disciplined from then on. This is when Colonel Miles goes on to see Ardmore, who tells him to come up with a proper plan to invade the forest where the previous battle took place, and the Colonel right away starts working on it. Colonel, along with his men, makes his way to the forest when Jake's children are still playing in there, and Jake gets to the exact place where the last battle took place. He even sees his robotic suit with his remains still inside. Loak right away gets to know what is going on, and he right away tells his father about it. Jake right away tells his boys to not engage in any kind of fight with them. He tells them to quietly get out of there. Jake right away tells his wife about it, and he and Neytiri right away fly towards the forest to check in on their kids, but by the time they get there, the boys are captured by the humans already. The Colonel right away understands that these children belong to his biggest enemy. Later, Jake and Neytiri arrive and free them, killing several of Miles' soldiers, but Spider remains captured by Miles, who recognizes him as his son. Neytiri then suggests they leave this place for now. Jake is also worried about their location getting discovered because they have Spider and they could torture him to extract information about the exact whereabouts of the Jake family. Jake then goes on to say that as long as he is with his tribe, the Colonel and his men are going to keep attacking because it is him that they actually want. In the meantime, the Colonel asks the boy about his Na'vi family, but Spider refuses to give him any information whatsoever. Spider is then put into a spinning machine. The Colonel keeps torturing the boy as he asks him questions, but the boy is not one to budge just like that. He's too loyal to his Na'vi parents. The Colonel himself starts feeling bad for the boy because it is, after all, his own son, and he cannot see him like that for too long, so he tells the General that he is going to handle this boy in his own manner. The Colonel then decides to spend time with his son to draw him on his side. He goes on to tell him that he is on his side and that he is there to take him back to Earth. In turn, Spider teaches Miles about Na'vi culture and language. Still aware of the danger posed by Spider's knowledge of his whereabouts, Jake and his family finally go on to exile themselves from the Omaticaya and retreat to Pandora's eastern seaboard. Their whole clan is heartbroken at seeing them leave, but they really have no other choice. They keep flying for a few days and get to a place they call Metkaina. This clan is also a Na'vi clan, but they are a little different in their ways from Jake's clan as they like to stay in the water. The head of the tribe is named Tonawari, and he gets there with his wife. He goes on to tell Jake and his family that he does think Jake and his family are going to be able to survive in the water. Jake, however, has no other choice but to stay there, so he tells the leader of the Metkaina that they are adaptable and will adapt to these new conditions quickly. Jake then goes on to tell the leader the truth, revealing that they are being hunted by a very powerful group of humans, and if they are not allowed to stay at this clan, Jake might lose his whole family. Tonowari finally agrees to let them stay. He then goes on to give them some necessary stuff and tells his own children to mingle with Jake's children and, most importantly, teach them how to swim. Tonowari's children are nice to Jake's boys. They go on to take them to the sea right away and teach them the initial stuff there is to learn. The girl Kiri is doing really well underwater and she adapts to it very quickly. She even has the ability to control some of the creatures in the sea, and that comes as a shock even to her. One day when Kiri is spending time by herself in the sea as she meditates, Tonowari's son named Aonung gets there and goes on to bully her. Loke sees this, he loses his cool, and goes on to punch Aonung. He then goes on to beat the crap out of him. Jake gets to know about this and he is really pissed at his son for messing with the leader of the clan. Aonung is really angry at Loke, and Loke's father tells him to apologize to the leader's son because he does not want to risk getting exiled from there too. Loke goes to Aonung and apologizes to him. He does accept the apology, but it does not seem like Aonung has really forgiven the boy. Aonung and his friends then entice Loke to a trip into a sea predator's territory and leave him stranded. Loke tries to look for help, but there is no help. Just when he is about to lose hope, he is saved from the predator and befriended by a Payaken, a Tulkun, which is an intelligent and pacifistic whale-like species whom the Metkaina consider their spiritual brethren. Payak happens to be the largest and mightiest creature of them all when it comes to sea creatures. Payakan then goes on to bring Loke to a safe place, and Loke also helps Payakan by pulling out a harpoon from Payakan's body, which was really hurting her. Loke has now created a bond with this giant creature. That day, Tonowari gets to know about what has been going on between his son and Loke. Tonowari goes on to call both the boys right away and tells Aonung to apologize to Loke, but Loke is nice enough to tell the leader that it was not really Aonung's mistake. Aonung also understands that these Navis are not too bad either. After a while, Loke goes on to tell his siblings about the Payakan. The others, however, make fun of him and tell him that Payakan is the most dangerous killer of them all and has been abandoned by even its own kind. Later, Kiri links to the Metkaina's underwater spirit tree and spiritually meets her biological mother Grace, whose consciousness lives within Pandora. During the link-induced trance, Kiri suffers a seizure and falls unconscious, nearly drowning. In the meantime, the Colonel manages to learn about the location of Jake and his family, and he right away goes to Metkaina to capture Jake and his family. He has come with a large force and goes on to capture many of the local Navis there. He goes on to ask them if they have seen Jake or any of his family members, but the Navis refuse to tell him anything. The cruel Colonel right away goes on to kill one of them. They even go on to burn their houses, but the Navis still do not tell him about Jake and his family. Colonel now orders his men to start killing the Tulkuns because he thinks this could make Jake come out of hiding. Another advantage of killing these Tulkuns is that there is a very precious liquid in their brain, and if these humans extract this liquid and bring it back to Earth, they are going to be able to sell it for millions. Some hunters then go into the sea and start chasing after these sea monsters. They keep striking them down one by one. They go on to strike them with many trackers and tranquilizers, which make them go unconscious right away. This is a brutal display of force at the hands of the Colonel. We see that a mother who is lying with her little baby Tulkun is brutally killed by Colonel's men. Metkaina now get to know that their good friends are in trouble and they are getting killed. They are enraged at this and go on to decide that they are going to kill these humans. Jake gets there. He is the one who understands this human's force better. He goes on to tell them that they need to get rid of these trackers for starters because this will be the first step towards saving these Tulkuns and possibly their tribe. They also decide that they are going to tell all the Tulkuns about the trackers that have been put inside them. Loke hears this and right away dives into the sea to find his friend Payakan and inform her about the trackers. Loke and Aonung manage to find Payakan right away to get the tracker out of her body, but this is when Colonel gets to know what is going on and he arrives there with more force than their power subs. Loke right away connects to his father and tells him about all that is going on. However, they finally manage to get the tracker out of Payakan's body and then get underwater right away to hide there. Colonel has gotten there with his crew and they are now looking for them. Jake goes running to Tonowari and tells him that their kids are in trouble. Tonowari loses it. He right away orders his tribe to get ready for war. Jake and Neytiri also get ready for the war and grab their weapons. The next thing we see, they are on their way to the battlefield. The Colonel keeps shouting at his men to launch a heavy strike on all the Tulkuns and find Jake's children, whom he knows are nearby. After having searched for a long time, they finally manage to find Kiri and Tuk. They manage to trap them in a net right away. They then go on to capture Tok as well. He goes on to take off his collar transmitter and connects to Jake right away. The colonel tells Jake to surrender because he cannot fight this, as the colonel now has his children. Jake loves nothing more than his children, so he really does not have another choice anymore. This is when Payakin goes on to notice that her friend Loke is in trouble, as she sees him in handcuffs with an intense expression on his face. Payakin goes on to attack the ship on which Loke has been taken. Payakin is so massive that she puts her body on the ship, and the whole ship turns out to be smaller for her, and everything turns to chaos in the blink of an eye. Payakin goes on to move her massive fins and manages to throw a lot of soldiers into the sea who are not able to make it back to the ship. This causes chaos among the force of the humans. Their ship has now been totally obliterated, and they are trying to pull themselves together. Taking advantage of this attack by Payakin, Jake and the force of Metkayina see this as an opening for them. They right away go on to launch a full attack on the humans right away. Jake and Tanawari want to save their children before anything, but at the same time, they want to destroy and punish these humans for the pain they have caused to both Tanawari and Jake's family. They take out their bows and rain down arrows on the humans. Spider cripples the vessel, and Neytiri rescues Loke, Syria, and Spider, but is fatally shot by one of Miles' men. Neytiri is right away taken ashore by Loke to their mother, but he passes away as the boy has lost a lot of blood already. Neytiri loses it as she sees her son dying in front of her very eyes. She screams in agony while her husband tries to comfort her. Devastated now, Jake and Neytiri go back to save their remaining children that were recaptured. Jake faces Miles, who uses Kiri as a hostage. When Neytiri does the same with Spider, Miles at first denies their relationship, but desists once Neytiri cuts Spider across the chest. Jake, Miles, Neytiri, and Took end up trapped inside the sinking vessel. After a tense skirmish, Jake strangles Miles unconscious and is rescued by Loke and Payakin, while Kiri recovers Neytiri and Took. Spider rescues Miles but refuses to go with him and rejoins Jake's family, who welcomes him as a true son. After Neytiri's funeral, Jake informs Tanawari of his decision to leave the Metkayina. Still, the chief respectfully identifies Jake as part of the clan and welcomes him and his family to stay. Before vowing to resume their campaign against the RDA, Jake and his family accept and live their new life at sea, and with that, the movie comes to an end. Thanks for watching. Please like, subscribe, and click the bell icon to get new movie recaps.